There is a cat named Oscar. He lives in a nursing home in Rhode Island. And he has done something that no doctor in that building can do. He has predicted death more than 100 times. Oscar spends his days walking the halls, mostly ignoring everyone. But every so often he walks into a room, sniffs the air, and jumps onto a patient's bed. He curls up beside them, and within a few hours, that person dies. Almost every single time. The staff learn to trust him so completely that when Oscar settles onto someone's bed, they call the family. It is time to say goodbye. This is not a ghost story. It was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, one of the most respected medical journals in the world. So the question is not whether it is real. The question is, how? How can an animal sense death coming when we can't? Let's start with what is actually happening, because the answer is stranger and more beautiful than any ghost story. Oscar is not magic. Oscar has a nose. When the human body begins to shut down, its cells start to break down in a specific way. This process releases chemical compounds into the air, subtle scents that a dying body produces and a healthy one does not. Humans cannot smell them. But a cat's sense of smell is around 14 times stronger than ours. To Oscar, a person in their final hours might simply smell different. He is not predicting the future. He is smelling the present, a present we are completely blind to. And this is the key to the entire mystery. Again and again, what looks like a supernatural sixth sense turns out to be a real sense, just one far sharper than our own. Take dogs. A dog's nose is so powerful that it can detect a single drop of a substance diluted in 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools. They have around 300 million scent receptors. You have about 6 million. And we have learned to put that power to extraordinary use. In carefully controlled studies, dogs have been trained to detect cancer. Lung cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, just by smelling a person's breath or urine. Cancer cells release their own faint chemical signature, and dogs can be trained to recognize it, sometimes in the earliest stages, before machines can. Other dogs can sense an epileptic seizure or a dangerous drop in blood sugar before it happens. Their owners report that the dog becomes anxious, insistent, refusing to leave their side, minutes before a medical crisis hits. Scientists believe the body releases tiny chemical changes ahead of these events, and the dog smells the storm coming before the person feels a thing. The dog is not seeing the future. It is reading the body's chemistry in real time, a language written in molecules that we cannot read. But smell is only one of the hidden senses. Because some animals don't just sense what is happening inside a single body, they can sense the earth itself. On December 26, 2004, one of the deadliest tsunamis in history struck the coastlines of the Indian Ocean. Over 200,000 people died. But in Yala National Park in Sri Lanka, home to elephants, leopards, and hundreds of species, something strange was reported. Before the waves arrived, the elephants trumpeted and fled to higher ground. Flamingos abandoned their low-lying nesting areas. Dogs refused to go outside. When the water finally hit, remarkably few wild animals were found dead. They knew. Somehow they knew before it came. For years, people called this a mysterious sixth sense. But the real explanation is grounded in physics. An earthquake sends out two kinds of waves. The first, called the P wave, is fast and weak. The second, the S wave, is slower but far more violent. It is the S wave that brings the devastating shaking. Humans usually only notice the second wave, the destructive one. But many animals can feel the first, the faint early tremor that arrives moments or minutes before the disaster. Elephants may feel these vibrations through their feet, sensing the ground shifting long before a human ever could. To them, the earth whispers a warning we are simply not built to hear. And here is where we have to be careful, because the science demands it. For every real case, there are dozens of stories that fall apart under examination. A dog acting strange before a storm. A cat hiding before an earthquake. The problem is something called confirmation bias. We remember the one time the cat hid and an earthquake followed. We forget the hundreds of times it hid and nothing happened at all. Animals act strangely all the time. When a disaster happens to follow, our brains draw a line between the two and call it prediction. Scientists who have studied this seriously have found that for most natural disasters, there is still no reliable, proven early warning behavior we can actually depend on. The honest answer is that some of it is real biology, and some of it is our own minds finding patterns that were never there. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with something far more interesting than magic. The animals around us are not fortune tellers. They are living instruments, tuned to frequencies of the world that we lost access to long ago, or perhaps never had at all. A cat that smells the chemistry of a body letting go. A dog that reads the molecular warning of a disease before any symptom appears. An elephant that feels an earthquake traveling through the planet beneath its feet. None of them are seeing the future. They are simply experiencing a far richer present than we are, a world drenched in information that passes us by completely. We like to think of ourselves as the most aware creatures on Earth, but we walk through the world half-blind, missing the sense, the tremors, the silent signals happening all around us every single moment. The animals are not predicting anything. They are paying attention to things we can't even perceive, and maybe that is the most humbling thought of all. The cat curled up on the bed, the dog pressed against your leg, the elephant pausing in the grass. They are not predicting death or disaster or disease. They are just telling us, in the only way they can, that there is far more happening in this world than we will ever be able to feel.